Welcome back. Joining me now is Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut. Senator Murphy, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. As we noted, it is an incredibly busy weekend. I know you're running on fumes, as are all the senators, so we appreciate it. Let's start right there. As I was just discussing with Senator Mullen, there are two Republicans who say they are a no on this legislation. Senator Murphy, do you think there's any chance that the so-called big, beautiful bill does not pass the Senate?
I do think there's a chance it doesn't pass. They are trying to ram it through as quickly as they can, likely in the middle of the night tonight, because every day that this bill hangs out there, it becomes less popular. As you noted, by almost a 2-to-1 margin, the American people hate this piece of legislation because it's going to represent the biggest transfer of wealth and money from the poor and the middle class to the rich in the history of the country. It's not about efficiencies in Medicaid. CBO, which is the Congressional Budget Office, nonpartisan, says it's going to kick between 10 and 15 million people off their health care. And for what? To be able to afford a new $270,000 tax cut for the richest families in the country, new tax cuts for corporations, new tax cuts for billionaires. This bill stinks. It's a moral abomination. Everybody that learns about it hates it. And so there's a chance that it won't pass. That's in part why we're forcing them to read it, because every single day that people learn about it, they are flooding their members' offices with calls to tell them to stop this bill. Nobody is asking for 16 million people to lose their health care just so that corporations and the very rich can get a new tax cut. That's super unpopular, and we're going to work this thing until the final vote.
You know, Senator, the bill also provides billions of dollars in funding to border security. The White House's border czar, Tom Homan, weighed in on that aspect. I want to let you listen to what he had to say this week and get your reaction on the other side.
If we get this bill passed, we got more agents on the road. We buy more beds. We get more transportation flights. More agents means more bad guys arrested, taken off the streets of this country every single day. Every day we arrest a public safety threat or national security threat. This makes this country much safer. Who the hell would be against that?
Senator, you were a lead negotiator in the bipartisan border deal that was coming together last year. Shouldn't it be a priority for everyone to get immigration and border funding passed in this bill? What say you about that argument that Homan makes?
Well, you are right. We had a bipartisan agreement last year to put billions of new dollars into border security, but also to change the laws to reflect the current reality. What this administration is doing is violating the law every single day. Whether they like the asylum laws of the nation or not, they have to obey the law. And they are not just going after bad guys. They arrested a high school kid in Connecticut who was about to graduate, who had no criminal record, just because cruelty is the underlying purpose of their new immigration policy, not going after dangerous people. So, yes, we should have a bipartisan commitment, not just to funding the border, but to actually reforming the laws. They are acting in a lawless manner every single day. They are not focusing on dangerous people. They are literally going to Home Depots. They are busting into people's private homes. They are targeting Latinos all over the country, whether they are undocumented or not. This isn't about trying to keep the country safer. This is about trying to make this country scared of folks who speak a different language or come from a different place.
You know, border crossings are at a record low. Do you give the Trump administration some credit for that? And are you, when you look at those figures, do you think things are moving in the right direction, at least in that regard, Senator?
No, I don't give them credit for that, because border crossings are low because they're violating the law every day. So we have a law in this country that says if you are fleeing terror or torture from another country, you can come here and apply for asylum. The Trump administration has suspended that law. They are not allowing anybody to come here to apply for asylum. We wrote that bipartisan bill last year to reform the asylum process, to make sure that only the right people are coming in and that we judge those cases expeditiously at the border. So it's true, there are very few people crossing on a daily basis, but that's because the Trump administration is violating the law. And it should matter to every American that on so many facets, the Trump administration doesn't care about the law. This is becoming becoming a lawless administration. We are on a road to see our democracy atrophy to the point that it will be unrecognizable. And the border is just one example of many ways in which this administration doesn't care about the law anymore.
Senator, staying on the topic of the laws, you know, the Supreme Court did issue that ruling this week, which effectively will limit judges' ability to issue nationwide injunctions. You just heard my conversation with Senator Mullen about this. What is your reaction to what the Supreme Court ruled this week?
Well, first, let's just talk about what it means for kids that are born in this country. Both the Constitution and the law is clear. If you're born in the United States of America, you're a U.S. citizen. But now, because there's no longer going to be a federal policy, it's going to be different in every state. A child born in the United States, born in Connecticut, will be a citizen, but that same child, if they were born in Oklahoma, might not be. That's chaos. By taking away the power of courts to restrain the president when he is clearly acting in an unlawful manner, as he is when he says that children born in the United States are no longer citizens, you are assisting him in trying to undermine the rule of law and undermine our democracy. So that case is really dangerous because it sets up a patchwork of citizenship laws, but it's really dangerous because it will incentivize the president to act in a lawless manner, because now only the Supreme Court, who can only take a handful of cases a year, can ever stop him from violating the laws and the Constitution.
Let's turn to the very latest on Iran now. You are, of course, on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. You were briefed on the strike against Iran on Thursday. Based on the intelligence that you have received, Senator, would you have ordered that strike if you were Commander-in-Chief?
Well, what President Trump told the country is that that Iran's nuclear capability was obliterated, and it just was not obliterated. In fact, the International Atomic Energy Commission just confirmed that we only set back their program by a handful of months. We were at the negotiating table trying to come to a diplomatic agreement. No, I would not have authorized strikes literally at the moment that we were sitting down with the Iranians trying to come to a peaceful settlement. The only way that you are going to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon is an agreement, because as open reporting has suggested, these strikes did not destroy all of their enriched uranium. It did not destroy all of their centrifuges, and it certainly didn't destroy their knowledge. And so it stands to reason that they can reconstitute their nuclear program within months. And what are we going to do? We're going to carry out these massive $100 million strikes every 3 or 4 months? No, you need a diplomatic agreement, and these strikes ultimately set back those diplomatic conversations.
Well, let me follow up with you, because you've said the strikes were illegal because they were carried out without congressional approval. Your colleague, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, actually took it a step further. She said it's grounds for impeachment. Senator, do you agree with that? Is the fact that President Trump acted unilaterally grounds for impeachment?
Well, that's a decision the House makes. That's, not a decision the Senate makes. But it is clear that this is illegal. I know he says that these were, time-limited strikes. They were targeted strikes.
But do you think she's on the right track, Senator? Do you think she's on the right track by suggesting he should be impeached over not going to Congress first?
Well, again, that's a decision the House makes. But I will say, if you compare his conduct in this administration to the conduct that he got impeached for in the first administration, his conduct in this administration is much worse, much more lawless, and much more unconstitutional.
I have to ask you about the big news here in New York. Zohran Mamdani's victory, his big win in the Democratic primary for New York mayor. I'm going to speak to Assemblyman Mamdani in just a few moments from now. What lessons do you think Democrats should take from his win?
Well, I think it was a really important win, and I hope Democrats do take some lessons from it. He was laser-like focused on the issue of costs. He was laser-like focused on the issue of transferring power from people who have way too much of it, like the big real estate companies that jack up everybody's rent in New York, and putting that power in the hands of regular citizens. He was authentic, right? He's got some views that are a little bit out of the conventional mainstream, but you know what? The traditional political pundits have no idea what's actually mainstream in this country. And when you're talking about costs, when you're talking about de-rigging the economy every single day, when you're presenting big, bold ideas on how to do that, you're going to do pretty well in elections. And so Democrats should learn from his victory.
Leaders Schumer and Jeffries have not endorsed Mr. Mamdani yet. Do you think they should?
Well, I mean, I guess I don't give recommendations to my colleagues. I'm going to support him. I'm going to support him, and I think the Democratic Party would be well served by learning from his focus on lowering costs. That was what got him this nomination win.
All right, Senator Murphy, thank you so much for joining us on a jam-packed weekend. We really appreciate it.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.